Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Weekly Ramble podcast. I am your host, Euclid, and today it's going to be a little longer than last week, as last week there was just a lot going on in the world, and I wanted to focus more on that. This week, I have successfully managed to focus a little bit more on everything but the news, and I've done a little bit better odds than that. If I seem slightly distracted, it's because while I'm recording this, I'm playing a little bit of Warhammer Total War and Total War Warhammer, which I never thought I would like, but we'll get to that in a moment. So first things first, to get it out of the way, live streaming has been fun and I really enjoy doing it. I didn't think I would enjoy it this much. I thought that I would actually hate the live service model or just kind of enacting it, but that was really silly because I find it very entertaining to talk to you guys while we're playing these games and talk to you guys while we're kind of going through the journey together, and it's been really fun. Still kind of figuring everything out as far as what I'm supposed to be doing and what makes for a good entertainment for a stream. I think having fun. And by fun, I don't mean I'm playing the game and having fun and you guys should just blatantly watch me. So we mixed it up a little bit. Those of you that tuned in yesterday, because I plan for this stream to come out Sunday morning, in March 6th, well, I decided to change it up a little bit. We were playing Metro Exodus, and for those of you that don't know, Metro Exodus is a post-apocalyptic first-person shooter from a Eastern European, more specifically Russian perspective. Your character's name is Artyom, and you are essentially in Metro Exodus. You are leaving the Metro Exodus and taking a journey east to find civilization and land with clean air, essentially. Now, those of you that haven't read the books and those of you that have not played the games, the Metro series is very melancholic and dark, but if you like that sort of thing, I highly recommend the Metro games. Hell of a time to be reading books like that, but even still, I find the books to be very calming. The author, Dmitry Gluchovsky, is a phenomenal Russian writer and really somebody that I respect in the industry. And I really appreciate that he brought this story forward with his novels, which are Metro 2033, Metro 2034, and Metro 2035. Now, the games are known as Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, and Metro Exodus. Those games they all have their strengths and weaknesses. I would argue that Metro Exodus is the best of the three because it is very open. There's a lot that you can do in the games. There are a lot more options. The weapon customization is actually taken to a level that I think the developers wanted to take it. Anyways, at this point, you should kind of have an understanding for what Metro is. But essentially, the story for Metro is something I dare not go into with recent world events and such, but I recommend the game. So while we were playing the stream, we were in the level known as the Caspian, the second major level, if you don't count the first, which is Moscow. So you start off in the Volga level, and you move on to the second level, which is the Caspian level, also located in the Caspian Sea area, which is in a very dried out and smaller version of the Caspian Desert, as it were. So that very level, there's a part where you meet a guerrilla warfighter known as Gyul, and she is from the area there and from its local population, and you help her, you assist her, you get to the lighthouse, you help her. So there's an interesting part in that game where when you meet her, you coordinate with her, you get your weapons together, you get them prepared, you go down into this bunker location to find information and a relic, a journal, a photo or something belonging to Gyul's mother. When you go down there and you find those relics, however, there are several areas, like in many Metro games, there are many areas also that are poisonous to you because of radiation and there's no clean oxygen, and you'll die if you inhale it to a slightly more than small degree, right? So because of that, it's recommended that you put on your damn gas mask immediately. So I did this thing where last Halloween we had gotten some props for shits and giggles, and I always thought it would be funny to play a Metro game, and every time I get into a radioactive area, I put on a gas mask. That's what we did. It was a fucking blast. I loved it, and I plan to do that for all the Metro games. Hopefully I'll get a better gas mask that I can see through a little better. But the challenge was there, and the worst part is I was in this dark underground bunker with a lot of poisonous air, so I had to wear the gas mask in the game. And anytime I applied the gas mask to my character, I wore this cheap Spirit of Halloween gas mask that I bought in the store. And it was fun. It was fucking scary though, because I'm already playing on the game's hardest difficulty, Ranger Hardcore, and it made it one hell of a challenge. So yeah, that's one thing we did just to kind of make it fun. I wish I had done it earlier, and I think that people in the stream would have enjoyed it more. But we're getting started. Not to mention that being discoverable, the rate of being discovered is fairly low on YouTube compared to Twitch. So I've considered streaming on both, maybe even simultaneously when my computer can handle it a little more. As of now, we're kind of rocking older components such as the 2 generations old 1080 Ti, which is still a hell of a graphics card, and I intend to utilize it either in a second dedicated editing studio build so that it can help render my stream, help process my streams a little better and or render my videos, as it were. So that's something that I really want to do. Or it'll go into my significant other's computer, which is probably a better purpose for it, so that her computer can run a little bit better games, because I would really like to start playing games with her. I would honestly like to get her to stream with me at some point, if I can get her to the point where she's as nerdy as I am. Now, that was really fun. That's something I would like to do again. And if you guys haven't checked it out yet, you should definitely look in my videos and go to basically the last half an hour to 45 minutes and just scroll through until you see the gas mask segment where I put it on. It's bad. And then the gas mask fogged up so badly, I couldn't see more than like 5 feet in front of my face. Shit was hilarious. Had a really good time. People had good laughs. And even got to see a couple of buddies in there that stopped by that I went to school with back in the day. So, back in high school. So, thank you both for stopping by. You know who you are if you listen to this podcast. Otherwise, just thanks in general. Moving on. The weather broke, dude. And 2 days ago, it was like 50 to 60 degrees. Today, it was borderline 70 degrees. And I just felt it was like, I hit 30, last year. And it's like I'm, as my significant other's son says, her son's friends are all, 16, 17 years old. And they'll see me walking with my coffee, because I very much appreciate my coffee in the morning. I'm just kind of, let's just say that in some ways I'm kind of set in my ways, and I've always loved coffee. I like tea too, but coffee's where it's at for me. I know some people are like, ugh, but it's a guilty pleasure more than it is like a necessary thing that I drink. So yeah, moving on from that, I have been playing. Okay, so to clear that up from what I was saying earlier, I cleared out the garage a little bit today or yesterday, which was Saturday, and I made sure the snowblower that I'd used a lot this winter, which came in handy by the way, one that I'd fixed, was working. Got that thing working. It just needed a carburetor. And I try to start it once every week or 2 weeks if I don't use it, just to make sure it's kicking, And I did the same for our push mower that we haven't used in several months because it's been cold. The grass has been dead or has been settled under snow and just, winter cold in general. But everything is running good, and I cleaned out the garage, rolled up extension cables that I kind of carelessly bunched up, and just kind of neatened things up a little bit, putting away, actually putting away Christmas decorations that were kind of in boxes but not put in their place. Cleaned that shit up, got it out, I was crushing it. I had everything kind of where it needed to go, and it's just a motivation thing, because by heart and nature, I'm lazy as shit. And that's the truth. I'm lazy. Lazy. If I'm not lazy, I probably owe that fact to my stepfather. He is a hardworking dude and relatively strict in his own way. But yeah, the dude definitely broke me of my lazy stride. And whenever I get on a roll, I don't know, I just think of him. He kind of got me to get out of that, other thing. And the best thing, too, is that my significant other is like that as well. She's not lazy. She's got a good ethic. So it seems like I'm covered on all ends. So yeah, weather broke, took advantage of it, cleaned out the garage, got everything kind of started, and I'm getting ready to change the brakes on my girlfriend's car. I'm no mechanic. I am definitely a YouTube watch video and fix it this way, but god damn, it saves so much money, so I don't know how else I could do it, honestly. Things are so expensive. I want to be able to afford mechanics and stuff to fix things and pay technicians to do things the quote unquote right way, but you don't really have the money for that half the time. So that's something that I won't put aside. I'm not trying to be cheap. For so long, I had to be super frugal with all of my finances, and so did my significant other. So there's definitely a mutual understanding there. And yeah, we kind of see eye to eye in regards to that. So yeah. Yeah. That being said, here's another topic I want to get onto, and this topic is really cool, and I think I should cover it in its own video. So I have a few games that I don't really play on screen. You guys know that I play World of Tanks here and there. I haven't played it as much in the past 5 to 6 months, roughly, just because I haven't really felt like playing it, and I can always go back to it because it's still a free-to-play service. I can go back to it anytime I want, right? And I play it a little bit here. Another game series that I love through and through is Creative Assembly's Total War series. And I have a few people in my circle of close internet friends that really love the Total War series as well. But one thing that I was honestly deathly afraid to try, and I'll just admit it because it feels good it feels good that I was able to reach this kind of a resolution or realization, I should be saying. I love historical Total War games. I was not super excited about, when they first announced Total War Warhammer. It's not that, at first I was, until they made a Total War Warhammer 2, Total War Warhammer 3, just was released or whatever, right? I think it was. And there's still no historical Total War games, and it's been a little while since we've had one new. Now, that's a little unfair. The games are successful. So, a lot of you may not like the Epic Games Store. I myself prefer Steam. But Epic Games gives out a lot of games for free. And if you don't have the money and you feel like going over to Epic, I mean, not only do they have achievements now, which is kind of nice to hit that kind of like dopamine hit when you achieve things, but they give away free games. And that is how I finally started playing Total War Warhammer. I'm a cheap ass. They gave away, and actually I got it from Amazon Gaming. They gave away Total War Warhammer, the original game, for free. And I have good news for those of you, if you are willing to try it. I did, and I was so nitpicky. I was afraid to try it, but I'm going to tell you something right now. I think I am slowly slipping into having an interest in the lore and really just games in general of Warhammer. I have a few friends, you know who you are, you little bastards, that really love the Warhammer series. Warhammer is expansive, huge, and overwhelming, and it's one of the few gaming universes that the people that love it would never want to live in it. Halo people, Halo fans want to live in the Halo universe. Alien fans, for some reason, seem to want to live in the Alien universe. But Warhammer fans do not want to live in their universe because it's cruel, the war is unending, it's just too violent, and we would all barely make the cut to be basic infantry in the Imperium. Speaking of the Imperium, the Empire, I don't know a lot about it yet. It is interesting, though. It is like this strange combination between Gaius Marius's Rome, the Gaius Marius reformed legions of the Roman Empire, and the Holy Roman Empire, also known as Germany. And they are they are a human faction. The reason a lot of Total War historical gamers, gamers hate that fucking word. The reason a lot of people that play the Total War games historically want historical games is because they just want to play games based around historical events. But guys, I went ahead and tried it. I tried Total War Warhammer. And I'm still playing through the main, initial Empire campaign as Karl Franz, I believe it is. And it's enjoyable. Emperor Karl Franz. I'm looking at it now. The gameplay you're probably seeing on screen right now is before what I'm doing currently. But I have to say, guys, this shit is fun. This is a fun game. I didn't think I would enjoy it this much. But with most things, if you haven't tried it, you can't really knock it. And that's the truth, honestly. It really is. So, first things first. If you are wanting to give Total War Warhammer a try, go to Amazon Gaming or Epic and see if you can get a game for free or get it for a discount because I haven't seen it discounted much on Steam. Play the game. I recommend your first campaign to play as the Empire because it's a human faction. They get units similar to many of the Total War games you most likely played. So like spearmen and swordsmen and the very notorious and useful halberdier troops. But they also, it's like a very pike and shot with some mythological creatures included, such as Pegasus and griffins and these really badass cavalry unit mounts known as demi-griffins, which essentially what that means is it's not a full-fledged griffin. They can't fly, but they make for insanely powerful shock cavalry. And to go further, there's a little bit of steampunk involved. You get your faction updated far enough. I haven't built one myself yet, but I'm on the verge of it, baby. You can build what is known as a steam tank. And it is literally a steampunk tank. And I can't wait to use this on the counts, because there are so many factions in this game that it's a little overwhelming, and every faction has their advantage. Playing as the Empire, this map is very much like Central Europe, in the sense that you start in a more centralized location like Germany. To your left is a lot of the factions, and I'll read off their names: Coron, L'Anguille, Leonis, Mousseline, Castle Artois, Castle Baston, Beaulieu, Aquitaine, and Montfort. And Cicero, I think it is, or Gisero. I mean, that does make you think about France, right? So France is located on the leftmost part of the upper... I mean, they really did. It's kind of like Europe in the sense, but all these factions up here in the mainlands of this map are human. So you start off fighting other humans. So it feels like a good introduction if you play as the Empire to just fight other humans, right? I just really wanted to take a majority of this podcast to tell you guys that, honestly, the game is great. And I heard that 2 it really overshadows the first one. And there's a thing called Old Empires or something along the lines that combines the maps and factions of the first and second Total War Warhammer games. I'm going to play a good bit of 1 before I invest in 2, since 1 was free. I'll take my time with it, and if I really, really like the games even still, well, then fuck it. I'll just go ahead and I'll buy the second one, and we'll go from there. It's fun because, 1, you can start off... There are different factions. For example, what is very Tolkien of them, very Lord of the Rings-esque or Hobbit of them, is that in the mountain regions directly to your west, there are these different dwarven factions. For example, there is a dwarven faction known as... They're in the northern Grey Mountains, and there's an area called the southern Grey Mountains. And all these different mountainous... terrain areas which act as natural borders. There are these different, factions of dwarves, and they all hold grudges, and they're very curmudgeon-y, and they're very hateful. But if you treat them well, they never forget that. As with the French factions, they're infamous for, you guessed it, like the French, they're mounted knights and they're cavalry, and they're more chivalric soldiers. So that might be a faction that I play with next, because they don't start off with as much of an oomph or a Karl Franz, who is amazing in combat. The biggest thing I had to get over, or should I say, get used to with Total War Warhammer, is that I had to get used to the hero units. And it's a ball buster when something is in battle and getting stabbed from all sides for like 10 minutes, it bothers you. Well, depending on what they're fighting, they can get overwhelmed easily. You want them to accompany other troops, but they are useful. If you can get used to that, get over that, really, the game shines. It's fantastic. And I barely touched it. I'm only playing as the Empire, which is kind of like the main faction. Karl Franz is the Empire of the Reichland, or the Imperium, the Empire. And this is not 40k, this is the Old World Warhammer. And as far as I'm concerned, 40k and Old World Warhammer are not connected. So that was confirmed. So the futuristic equivalent is not connected to this. Though it would be cool if it was, but they'd have to explain why all these different races were from different planets, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, there's a very Holy Roman Empire aesthetic mixed with what I would consider an Americanized Roman voice acting thing going on. It's really enjoyable, you guys. If you are fence sitting on trying Total War Warhammer, I recommend you give it a try because you may not realize what you're missing out on. These games are phenomenal, and any Total War game, Total War fan of Creative Assembly's infamous series should give them a try. The cool thing is the factions all vary and differ on their abilities. For example, the Empire is strongest, much like its, French-esque equivalents in the West, or its Dwarven equivalents, by keeping its land kind of clean and pure of corruption, and because they're mostly good by nature, they're good, spirited, good-natured species. But then you have undead, and their factions are only good and happy when the land is corrupt, and that is like vampire corruption. Well, Mussolini was originally, I believe, a human faction, but then the fucking place gets corrupted, and it gets corrupted because there are these things called beastmen, which are these minotaur-led, half-man, half-beast-looking mythological creatures, and everywhere they go, they cause corruption, and they cause decay, and they cause raiding and unrest, and that can turn your land. It literally turns the land inside out, and it starts to look like the war-torn, almost living, but ripped open wound from, like, the landscape looks like open wounds from a giant monster. And what I legitimately mean by that, you guys, is like, think about when you go into an Oblivion Gate in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. If you haven't, you should look that up and you'll know. The landscape changes. And you have to combat that with both troop presence, building temples of Sigmar, or other ways. I mean, there's just so much to the game, and I've really enjoyed it. So, last but not least, to cover the last little minute of this, because mainly I rambled about how Total War Warhammer is worth a historical Total War player's time. Had to catch my breath like Ace Ventura there for a second. Last but not least, I just want to cover that, I hope everyone's doing okay. And look out for each other. Because the world's fucking insane right now. And I'm doing what I can on my end to help out those that I can. And I'm very limited in that. So the best thing I can really offer is to make videos, make sure the ads stay off the channel. There's not much else I can do. To my patrons, there probably won't be a visual call out here, but I want to call out your names again. Paul Powers, Legacy 11, Miha, and good old Daniel Cutforth. You four, thank you for donating to me. I just received my recent payment, and I'm trying to keep things live and keep them living and keep content not pumping out, but coming out at a good, consistent, but decent quality pace. And I plan to try other videos in the future. One thing I'd really like to try is Secrets of Metro 2033, and make it a bit of a mini-series, and then see where we go from there if you guys like it. But I want these videos to do well. I want them to perform well. And mostly I'll keep you posted on that. Last but not least, things are going good with my family. Significant other is kind of sick today. I'm sure she'll be sick tomorrow, as in today, the day that this is going to be live on the channel. And I just hope she feels better. Kids are doing good. Girlfriend's son is working. There's really not much else to say other than the fact that he's doing good at his job and staying productive. He's working more hours now. He's getting a taste of having some decent money. But he makes pretty good money for his age and experience. Probably easily double what I did when I was his age working in culinary. AKA, I was just a fast food cook. But yeah, there's really not much to say. I've been playing a lot of Total War Warhammer on my free time when I'm not recording or streaming. And I do intend to continue the Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl Vanilla series. I would not just abandon it. I may also find time to continue the Resident Evil Village series. Maybe I'll live stream it, but it just depends on the worth. The game is already old and kind of redundant now. Live streaming is the only way I'm going to be able to play these games and keep up with the releases, guys. So old games I'll do video series for. But new games, I think live streaming is the way to go. That's the way I should do it. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys. I hope you're liking the series, and I hope you're liking the podcast as well as the live streams. And let me know in the comments, if you can, what you want to see from this channel. Let me know what you do like, and let me know what you don't. That's really as simple as I want to keep it. This has been, well, I don't really know what to say. But that's pretty much it for this weekly ramble. We might just keep doing these on Sunday morning since it's kind of a chill morning. Those of you that are in the church crowd can always watch it after. It doesn't really matter, but they'll release. I don't really have a set time for them. But yeah, I'm thinking about keeping the live streams on Saturdays at 2 p.m. But let me know, guys. Are Thursdays at 6 p.m. better? For a lot of you in the world, you're going to be asleep, or that would be like me asking you to stay up super late. And I don't want to fucking do that. So let me know what will work for you guys. And without further ado, just thanks for your all support. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to my viewers. And if you haven't subscribed yet or joined my Discord server, then I encourage you to do so, because we usually have a pretty good time at either. That being said, I hope you all have a good and excellent new week. Stay safe out there. Look out for each other. Keep your heads down in this now crazy-ass modern world. Much love to you guys, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.